Me and my mother-in-law, we Skype every Sunday. First she Skypes, of course, with my children, and then she Skypes with my wife, and then I come into the screen and say hello. And when my mother-in-law sees me that way, every time she is disappointed. And she always says the same thing. And that is, Mani 먹고 살 좀 줘라. Now that is Korean, and it means eat a lot and grow some fat. So for my mother-in-law, I am way too skinny, which I think is surprising because I always thought that Korean people, hey, they're not obsessed about food, but they are. Korean people, you will not believe how much they eat. They eat all the time. First of all, they eat their meals by the clock every day, same time. Young people too. And then they don't only eat their meals, they also eat in between the meals. They snack all the time. So somehow Koreans eat all the time and they're slim, but not as skinny as me. And that means that every summer, when we go to our Korea holiday in summer for 2 weeks, my mother-in-law has a mission, which is to feed me. So she feeds me in the morning, she feeds me in the evening, and she feeds me at lunch. And first thing in the morning, warm breakfast, I get meat, I get fish, I get rice, I get kimchi, I get side dishes. And the same midday, and the same in the evening. And after breakfast, I get tomato, I get orange, I get apples, I get ice cream, I get yogurt. For 2 weeks, I'm being fed. And after 2 weeks, when I go home again, my mother-in-law is happy. First of all, because I'm leaving, and she doesn't have to cook so much anymore, but also because her mission is starting to have success. After 2 weeks, I start to have a more rounded face. I start to have a little bit of more meat on my bones. And it's wonderful. She's happy, I'm happy, my wife is happy, because, you know, being skinny is not exactly the picture of manlyhood that most people have. And I do like to have a bit of more meat on my bones. And so, when my mother-in-law phones the next week or Skypes the next week, she sees me and for once she is happy. And when we Skype the Sunday after, she is disappointed because by then I've lost weight. But why? I haven't sabotaged her. I have no reason to. When I come back, I try to eat as regular as I can and as much as I can. It's not that I stop eating. But why then am I losing weight? Well, I understood this a few years ago when I first heard of the Vermont State Prison experiment, which is a crazy thing because there was a scientist in the US who wanted to find out what happens when you overfeed people. The problem was that he couldn't find volunteers. And so what he did, he asked the prison authorities and said, how if we overfeed prisoners and in return, they can be freed earlier? And crazy thing, the prison authorities agreed. And so they had this bunch of inmates who they fed like crazy. These people had to eat 2 to 3 times more than they ever should or would eat in their lives. And so what happens? After week 1, everybody gains weight. After week 2, everybody gains even more weight. But wait, not everybody. Into 2 weeks, some people, even though they're overfed like hell, start losing weight again. In other words, these people seem to have been a little bit like me. And what they seem to have is their body saying, what you think is one thing, but I think that your weight right now is perfect. And if you want to change that weight, I'm gonna fight it. And so my body, once I eat too much, rolls all this machinery into place. which is that on the one hand, I get fidgety, my body makes me move too much or very much. The other thing is that my body tells me to have to do more sports. And then comes the really mean stuff, which is that accelerates my metabolism. And worst of all, it produces less hunger hormones. So I don't feel hungry anymore. So there I am, and my mother-in-law is there as well, putting a lot of effort into something that has that little chance of success. And I say, that's a tough choice. On the one hand, I can put a lot of effort for that much success. That's tough. On the other hand, I can accept myself for who I am. And that's tough as well. Now, I say that with a pinch of humor because I know that there are people who have the problem on the other side, right? And they would love to change with me. But that's the whole point. We can't change our body. But what we can do is we can give up. We can give up to our body. And that is exactly what I did, which is a little bit sad for my mother-in-law. And it means that next Sunday, like every Sunday, like earlier today, she will have to say, Mani moko saljum jora.